For statistician in charge of price statistics. So ladies and gentlemen, the annual headline inflation for Uganda for the month of March 2026 was recorded at 2.8% compared to the 2.9% that we recorded in the month of February 2026. This time we are talking about annual headline inflation. Annual headline inflation, comparing this period of the month and year with the similar period of last year. So the annual headline inflation was recorded at 2.8 compared to the 2.9. So that is in general. So when we break it down for you, under this categorization, we have what we call core inflation. And in this core inflation, what we do, we go and get the main and take out the food crops and other related items, and also take out the energy, fuels, and utilities. So the drivers for the annual services, we see restaurants and accommodation services slowing down to 3.7% compared to the 4.0% that was recorded in February 2026. So under the category of the core goods and goods inflation, these are some of the examples of the items under the core goods that slowed down. So we see maize flour prices recorded at 8.3% in the month of March 2026 compared to the 10.8% that was recorded in February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, this shows a slowdown. So when you look, I would like to give an example, throw more light for a practical example like this maize flour. When we look at the maize flour, there's been a slowdown from 10.8 to 8.3. This means for the month of March 2026, prices increased by 8.3% when we are comparing March 2026 and March 2025. So this means whenever we see a positive, prices are going up. But this time they are just slowing down from 10.8 to 8.3%. Looking at live chicken inflation, so we are seeing them dropping down by 0.3. So that means since it's a minus, that means the prices were lower this year in 2026 for live chicken compared to what was observed last year in March 2025. So the inflation of chicken was minus 0.3% compared to 4.5% that was recorded in February 2026. We see dry fish inflation also slowing down to 5.2% from 8.5% that was recorded in February 2026. Refined oil, which we normally call cooking oil, also slowed down to 2.2% compared to the 4.1% that we recorded in February 2026. So ladies and gentlemen, we remember we had taken out the food crops and related items and also the energy, fuels and utilities. So to throw more, to show you what happened now in the food crops category, food crops and related items. So we see also a slowdown in food crops. And for the month of March 2026, we recorded them at 1.0% compared to 1.8% that was recorded in the month of February 2026. So the drivers for these food crops and related items, we see fresh milk that recorded a minus 4.0% in March 2026 compared to a 3.7% that was recorded in February 2026. Passion fruits have also recorded a minus 4.7% for the month of March 2026 compared to 27.7%. When you see a minus, prices are lower in that time frame. So when you see passion fruits recording a minus 4.7%, that means this year in March 2026, the prices of passion fruits are lower than what they were in 2025 March by 4.7%. I hope that is very clear, ladies and gentlemen. So, other drivers, we see the leafy vegetables also recording minus 7.6% compared to minus 0.2%. Prices of pineapple also recorded for this month of March 2026 at minus 0.7 compared to the 19.4% that we could be recorded in February 2026. Prices of onions have slowed down to 1.4% in this month of March 2026 compared to the 4.4 that was recorded in February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are done with the food crops and related items. On annual, we are looking at the annual energy fuels and utilities inflation. So for the month of March 2026, we see an increase in this category of energy fuels and utilities, which has increased to 4.1% this month of March 2026 compared to the 2.7 that we recorded in February 2026. To throw more light about what is making this energy, fuels and utilities category to increase, we see petrol prices increasing by 4.4% in the month of March 2026 compared to the 3.4% that we recorded in February 2026. Diesel prices have also increased to 3.0% this month of March 2026 compared to the 0.8 that was recorded in February 2026. Prices of kerosene have also increased by 0.1% in this month of March 2026 compared to the minus 0.2% that was recorded in February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, that is on the side of the liquid fuels. You see them increasing their prices this month of March 2026. We also have the side of solid fuels. These solid fuels have also increased prices. And we see firewood prices increasing to 16.2% in the month of March 2026 compared to the 10.3% that we recorded in the month of February 2026. Charcoal prices have also increased to 8.1% in this month of March 2026 compared to the 6.0% that we recorded in February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the drivers and non-alcoholic beverages. So we see it also slowing down to 2.8 from 2.6 from 2.8. Then for the people that take the alcoholic beverages and tobacco and narcotics that is taken at home, that category is for only that alcohol that is taken at home. We also see it slowing down to 0.6 from 0.7. So when you look at the weight category, don't think or don't drink. That the weight is a bit smaller because this is the one taken at home. But when you go down to the restaurants and accommodation, there is also some bit of alcohol there. The alcohol that you take away from home is also categorized in that the lower division. So we see when you look at the different divisions, whatever you use in a home has where it falls. Our fuel falls in division 4, which is housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. And we can see that division increasing to 4.6 from 3.9. Ladies and gentlemen, you can continue in your reporting and you see how the different categories are moving on a short-term basis. When we are comparing prices this month of March 2026, comparing them to February 2026. So we see that the inflation being recorded at 0.1% compared to the 0.3%. This is a further increase. Last month we saw on a monthly basis prices increasing by 0.3%. Now this month, again, on top of that, on top of the 0.3, this month of March, there's again increased by 0.1%. So the drivers, we look at the monthly food crops and related items. So we have our perishables are only these monthly food crops. So we see them increasing by 0.3% in the month of March 2026 compared to February 2026 where we recorded a 0.4%. So the drivers of these food crops and related items, we see prices of tomatoes increasing by 6.6% this month compared to the 3.0 that we recorded in the month of February 2026. Irish potato prices increased by 5.2% compared to the 2.4% that we recorded in the month of February 2026. So potato prices also increased by 5.5% this month of March 2026 compared to the earlier drop of 2.9% that we recorded in February. Dried beans increased by 1.0% this month of March compared to the earlier increase of 0.6% in February 2026. Watermelon prices also increased by 12.9% compared to the 2.1% that we recorded in the month of February 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at the monthly core inflation was recorded at 0.0 in this month of March 2026 compared to the 0.3% that was recorded in February 2026. So these drivers, remember in core we have both services and some goods which we call the core goods. So for the services, they increased by 0.1% compared to the earlier increase of 0.2%. When it comes to core goods inflation, the goods dropped by 0.1% compared to the 0.4% that we recorded in February 2026. That's why we see a zero. There is a